have to start this thing. You have to initiate it. It's amazing what God will do when people just stop getting their eyes off themselves and say, okay, there's somebody in your world. Is this blinding anybody? I don't want to get an email. There's somebody in your world that you need to initiate with this light that is your faith. Many of you have had this faith for a while. You're going to have to go back home and just give it a try. Just be like, I don't know what your neighbor, is going to need, but there's going to be a way for you to initiate something. And here's the good news. For anybody who's immediately nervous about sharing your faith, our world is so void of genuine kindness that all you have to do is a little bit and you will make a huge impact. This is encouraging for anybody who's timid like me. That's not a joke. I have stepped out time and time again through my own failure, through my own insecurity, and seen God show up. And now a couple years later, people will tell you you're an evangelist. And I always laugh and say, because you don't know me. But after you see your light, which seems small to you, you start shining it like Jesus said. You start seeing him show up. You start looking for ways to initiate. Who can you initiate the love of God with in your community? I play basketball often. I remember one day, keep in mind, our world is so void. All you have to do is a little bit. You're going to reach somebody. And I saw the guy next to me. He was like, you have really cool shoes. So I took them off and I gave him my shoes. He burst into tears. He's a grown man. He's like, why would you ever give me your shoes? I'm like, bro, you need better friends. Because this is an indictment on your normal friendships. Because these are just shoes. And it opened up his life and about 50 other people through that one life. There was no keys. There was no color conference. It was just, let me just initiate. What can you do when you go home this week? Who can you initiate the love of God? Number 2, after you've initiated, you need to investigate. Make sure you're speaking the same language of the people you're trying to reach. All you wives know what I'm talking about when your husband doesn't read the 5 love languages. Loves you, but he doesn't understand you. I spent the first 3 years of my marriage, buying gifts. And Laura was like, I just want your time. I'm like, really? Can I get the money back? Because I've been speaking the wrong language. I think often Christians have a good idea, but they don't have the patience to investigate because investigation demands deliberation, and deliberation is going to make you have to pray. And Christians are normally like, I'm going to reach somebody. Is this working for you? If it's not, good riddance. I'm done here. I reached out. It's not good enough. Jesus was an investigative genius. To the prostitute, he protected her. To Zacchaeus, he had dinner with him. To Peter, he confronted him. Thomas, he accepted his doubt and showed him his scars. Jesus proved that love moves. In America, love is the way you get it, whether you like it or not. When you truly love people, you will investigate. I'm going to initiate. What is it? Your neighbor might never come to church. Well, I bet you they wouldn't mind having somebody mow their lawn. There's got to be a way, a language that somebody you love speaks where you initiate, you investigate. The goal is not to get them to church. The goal is to show the love of God like you've been shown the love of God. My wife, who's a hero, I had a friend of mine who deals in criminal activity. I call him the street pharmacist. And I initiated the love of God with him. Told him, something, and as I investigated his life, he was completely closed to everything. But I just kept on trying, because if you're going to let your light shine when you go back, it might take a little while. And I remember just trying, and finally, I found out he had a daughter. And I was like, oh, you have a daughter? I got a daughter too. And so I rushed home this night. It was 2 a.m. I woke Laura up. I was like, Laura, do we have a book on fatherhood and daughter? She's like, yes, mate. It's over there. Here's the thing, babe, I need you to wrap it. I need you to make it look like it's something illegal. Because I'm taking it to this club. So my wife got out of bed at 2 a.m., wrapped up this thing. It looked like something suspicious. And I went back into this club with my friend's a DJ, pulled it out of my pocket, handed it to her. I was like, thanks, man. I'm like, it's a book about raising daughters. The next week, he said, you got any more books? I said, yeah, I got a good one. I think I gave him a Sisterhood Bible. If you will investigate a little bit as a Christian, if you will not let what you see change what you say, You're going to share your faith better than you've ever shared it. Investigate. There's something there. There's something. Number 3. What's number 1?
Instigate.
Number 2.
Investigate.
Number 3, you got to illuminate. Oh yeah, I knew y'all would like that. That's a color bird. Also, big shout out to the women's conferences. At men's conferences, you know what you get? A toothpick and a razor.
Yeah.
You know what you get at a women's conference? Buckets, paint things, t-shirts, Bibles. Something's wrong.
Hey, it's so true. Hey, listen, you. Oi. Yeah, me. It's true. Hey, we still need to make a boy Bible because you have given so many of the sisterhood Bibles to your men friends
Yes,
that you
I have to rip out
have.
all the pages of women because it's so awkward. I've gotten caught reading the sisterhood Bible and there's all these women in there. You're like, it's not what it looks like. It's sisterhood. I know a lot of women.
Big black rappers in New York walking around with their sisterhood Bible. So really very good.
Illuminate. You know what it means to illuminate? It means to shine continuous light. So when Jesus said to keep open house, be generous with your lives, here's what I would pray that you would catch. Being a soul winner or being passionate about lost people, it is not an act, it is a lifestyle choice. It's not an act. I'm going to go soul winning. I love people who be like, Hillsong, New York City, do you have an evangelism department? Yeah, you. I'm going to go to the mission field. You mean the office you work in? The call of our God is to illuminate. And there's a phrase in America that says, leave the light on. This is the last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to pray for you, if that's okay. Where we basically say, you got to leave the light on in case there's one more person who might need to come home that's not going to see it without their light being on. And I do think there's going to come a day where there's somebody that you love that they will lose what they have. They might run out of the faith they think they have. And when they come running, they're going to be looking for that light. But there's a lot of Christians who just get tired of being generous and keeping an open house. So when the world that we love so much comes looking, our light has been off for a long time. When you go home, please stay illuminated. Just keep your light on. Because there's somebody that's going to come knocking. I remember reaching a friend of mine who was completely closed to everything, but I just kept showing up. And he called me one day, and I went over to his house, and he got saved at his table. And I said, why did you call me this time? He said, to be honest with you, I couldn't get rid of you. He said, every time I looked up, you were there. Every time I looked at my phone, there was a text. And a year and a half later, he got to a point where he was looking for something. You know where he came? It's like a Krispy Kreme sign. You know why people come for miles around? Because it's hot and fresh. I see it. My prayer for y'all as you go back and you win your streak, you will initiate and you will investigate and you will allow the love of God to illuminate what is the greatest message of freedom we know. It is the gospel of Jesus Christ. So if you could just bow your head, I'm going to pray for you right now. That the Holy Spirit be